Closing in on a Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern NHL trade deadline. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Jake the Snake Schultz, Derek Brandale, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, and a very heavily sedated Nick Kypreos.
All right, let's talk. Can we talk? Have we done intros yet?
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Okay. I am not personally responsible for anything I say or do or damages to you, Sammy, or the Rogers media company.
Do not operate heavy machinery
for the next 2 hours, okay? That the damages you guys incur in the next 2 hours, I am not responsible for.
Oh, my God. What happened?
I broke my back.
I spun out this morning. I had like a game to remember.
Okay.
I'm like scoring. I'm setting guys up. And I decide to back check.
Oh, there's your mistake.
Thank you. And I spun out on it in front of the crease, and
Back is broken.
And it was like army crawl home.
So
my buddy Johnny, who just got out of the shower, carried my bag to the parking lot with just a towel around his waist. We're passing all the older women getting ready for their figure skating classes, and they're like, yeah, can you take my bag out too to the car? Johnny looks like he's been cut.
Props to Johnny.
From a rock.
Oh, is Johnny the long hair guy?
Yes,
oh,
he
yeah.
is.
I remember chasing him around at that one tournament.
Oh, yeah.
He was unbelievable.
So you weren't able to do a whole lot after that. You texted us, you thought you were done today.
Done. I was on my floor.
Spinal.
In my, living room. Yeah, I was done. I was cooked.
And so you got some help.
I did.
Someone came to your house.
I did. And did a hell of a job.
Had a backiotomy?
Stuck a couple needles in me.
Really?
Yeah. And,
you are playing hurt.
And who's kidding who? It's the drugs.
Yeah, like by the end of this show, you might be a nightmare.
So if by chance I fall off, right?
The best part is you can say whatever today. You're off the hook, pal. Let it unfiltered.
All right.
Then.
Let's give it a whirl here. Did I do the introduction already? Did I tell everybody we're watching on every Sportsnet platform and YouTube? Did I do all of that?
I have no idea.
Okay, let's pretend I did.
You did. You 100% did. You nailed it, in fact.
Okay.
You nailed it.
All right. So where are we today? Because, Sammy,
Toronto.
The world is wanting first-round picks, and they want prospects, and they want all of that. At least we got a little action for Nick Roy today.
Nick Roy traded to the Colorado Avalanche for 2027 first-rounder that is top 10 protected, and for a conditional fifth the next year, the condition just being that it's the worst of the 3 fifth-rounders that the Avs have that year. So,
tip of the hat to Brad Treliving, because I didn't see it coming.
No.
I've been very clear on that, granted, this year and next year, probably you're looking at a 30th, 32nd pick, right?
Yeah,
but
it
doesn't matter. It's still, it's a needle mover, though.
Yeah, it is. It's, in the best case scenario of what the Leafs were going to do, I was hoping that they would be able to acquire a couple of firsts, some other high picks, whatever, that they could in turn trade for a player, whether that be, Robert Thomas or, some other bigger name sort of guy, because they need help in terms of elite talent. And it's tough to get without these assets. So if this is part of a bigger plan, awesome. If they're just planning on drafting a kid 27th 2 years from now, or a year and a half,
or maybe
from
the
now,
28th year.
Well, it's next year in Colorado. Yeah, I suppose if Colorado really bottomed out, it could move to 20.
Right, because
2028.
It's top 10 protected, and if it's after the top 10, then it
goes to a 2028 pick.
Yeah,
and if it's 2028, I think Austin would be like 39, maybe 40 years of age by then.
Yeah, I don't think so. But so they've got
that sounds right.
This is a great first step, whatever you think. Now, it does change some of the math for their roster. Like, he was a very legitimate third-line center. If Scott Lawton, who has been held out for trade purposes, also gets traded, and John Tavares looks more like a winger than a center, you're looking at Matthews. Your center depth is Matthews, Tavares, Quillen, Steven Lorentz, maybe.
It is funny that the three guys were held out last night for trade-related reasons, and one guy that wasn't held out for trade-related reasons is actually the one that gets traded first. So
It's almost like you showed this is the guy we don't want to trade, and that made him more appealing for teams.
Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of reverse. Go ahead.
What if he got hurt?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Right?
Maybe they
Because
legitimately didn't plan on trading him.
There's still no real signs that McMahon can get traded for a first, and all indications are right now that he's having trouble getting a second-round pick for Scott Lawton.
Mm-hmm.
So if the best that he could do for Scott Lawton is a third round, you try to sign him, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely you do. He's the one guy to me where I've done this on the show already, but if they're serious about next year being a thing, then you have to have some guys. And Scott Lawton, is a depth guy for you. He's got pedigree. He still skates well. He kills penalty. He could serve a role.
It's hard, though.
Give him a 3-year deal tops, though.
But if you do end up keeping him, then he'd probably like to know who his coach is next year. That could be a factor, too, because I don't think he's been pleased all season long the way Berube has used him.
I know he hasn't.
So do you just run the risk of seeing where those cards unfold in weeks or months after and hope he's still wanting to sign?
I look at the trade they made where they got a lot more than people thought that they were going to get for Nicolas Roy.
Mm-hmm.
And it does lend me to them potentially. Like when I saw that trade today, I was like, maybe they should just keep Lawton. Like that was the first time I had the thought where maybe I thought they were going to keep Roy for next year or whatever. But I think maybe that the trade offer was too good for them to maybe pass up. It's a first-round pick, whatever. But, yeah, it's just seeing them get that for Roy and I saw Petrelli writing about what their center depth is going to look like next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he's willing to stay around, and maybe it's something you're going to do, but also Kyper says he's maybe be a second-round pick or whatever. I mean, if you're going to get that up to a first for Lawton, I think you pull the trigger, obviously, but maybe that's not going to happen. This trade changed my outlook on Lawton for the first time in months.
I wasn't a big fan of Nick Roy. It's not that I didn't appreciate him in many ways, but soft and for me, he labored when he skated a little bit.
Well, he does labor when he skates, yeah.
But yet, teams had him way higher than Scott Lawton.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know why? That's what I was saying on Monday or whatever when we last talked about this. He's a 6'5" right shot center who played 16 minutes for a Stanley Cup winning team two years ago.
15
he's got
minutes.
more value.
There's more pedigree there for sure. And the Leafs used him this year. They used him, right? I don't know what his average minutes were. You mentioned Vegas. Did he average 15 minutes this year for the Leafs? I mean, those are significant minutes. I'm not sure where the fit is in Colorado for him. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, with Drury there kind of locked in, I'm wondering whether he was brought in to maybe be flipped or to come in and maybe you flip Jack Drury there. But I'm not sure how you give up a first rounder from Colorado to bring him in and where he's going to play.
Yeah, I think the Drury thing's possible. Like or they just are looking for more depth and think that Drury can play wing for them if he needs to. Right now down the middle, it's McKinnon, Brock Nelson, Jack Drury, Zakhar Bardakov.
Okay, so you gave up a first for a fourth line center?
Well, or Drury can be the fourth line center. Whatever you think he is.
He was playing 14,
good center depth is good center depth.
14:45.
Yeah, 14:45. So those are significant minutes.
Played 17 last night, but nobody was in the lineup.
It's also not their problem. You know?
No.
Well, it's not the Leafs' problem now. It's like,
yeah.
I will say one of the things that I do like from a moving on from Roy perspective, and I liked Roy as one of those guys. I think he had more to offer maybe, but he is all the things that I didn't like about the Leafs as a team. Big and slow, right? Like didn't have the edge or that like nastiness. So you put in a guy like Quillen and give him a chance. Look, I don't think they're better for having lost him, but I just need it to be part of a bigger plan. I need it not to be, because there could have been more creativity. There could have been further retention for a better return.
Yeah.
There could have been more ways, taking back bad money for more. It's a good start. I'm very happy with the start.
And the reported, I think Ceravelli maybe put out a tweet yesterday or like late yesterday that the asking price for him was maybe a first and a prospect or whatever, and they weren't willing to retain. So I guess maybe they met halfway in the middle there where they weren't willing to retain, but they got the first and a fifth round pick instead of the prospect or whatever. So maybe that's the way it went. But I mean, it's a good trade for the Leafs. I think if you had gone into this deadline and said that you were going to get a first-round pick straight up for Nick Waugh, the whole fan base would have signed up for that immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What is the number for you guys to feel this time tomorrow it's over? Like, we've seen the names without going into them in great detail. How many more trades for you guys? We've seen one.
Minimum 3 more for me.
4.
Yeah.
You want 4 in total.
The Leafs.
Minimum.
Yeah.
4 bodies out, 4 either assets of any kind in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not saying for anything, but, it is like McMahon to me makes no sense to bring back. I don't believe that he has 5 more years or whatever the length of the contract we talked about yesterday of success ahead, and those middle contracts always end up biting you. I just don't love the McMahon thing, and I think he has value.
Like, he woke up and saw Kyper Sherwood
right
with almost $30 million.
I know that.
And now McMahon's waking up, rolling out of bed, going, I'm $4.5 million all day long.
Yeah, for sure. I saw people someone
5.
tweeted like that it's like a favorable contract for McMahon. I guess because it helps him out, make his case or whatever. But like Sherwood scored 30. He leads the league in hits last year and this year. Like that's not what McMahon has done yet.
So he's at 5.5?
5.75.
5.75. Like I said, rolling out of bed, he should get 4.5.
Totally.
Now, the Leafs want to get him under 4.
Yeah. And if I'm McMahon, I'm not doing it, and that's why you have to trade him.
Yeah.
It doesn't work here.
Yeah. But at this point, Kip, do you think that they're still working to get him or have they made up their mind on him?
For me, he's going to get traded.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any gap that you can close to where McMahon thinks he should be. Again, do you want to start playing with 6 and 7 year deals to spread out the money and bring down the AAV? He's
not for Bobby McMahon.
Not for Bobby McMahon. And he's still perceived out there as a very good third line guy that could come in and play top 6 minutes on stretches.
He could play third line left wing on a cup contender. I don't think he's any higher than that.
So the really popular link with McMahon was Edmonton, and Stan Bowman today did a press conference. What did he say? Like,
we could be done.
I imagine we're done.
I wonder if there's a package.
I don't believe that for one second.
If there's a package out there, including OEL and McMahon,
I think that's possible.
to sweeten it up.
Detroit?
So both would go in one.
I could sense that if you're the Leafs past another second rounders and third rounders, and you actually need an A-, B+ prospect just to kind of hang your hat on a little bit, then multiple players usually are able to pull that off easier than just one guy.
Yeah, Detroit does have all their firsts and 2 of their next 3 seconds coming up.
I think if you were to trade both of those guys in one swoop, you'd want a first and a prospect, and that would be you'd be pretty happy with that, I think.
Yeah. And for them, they'd immediately be better. And, you get OEL with term. That, I don't know who else it makes sense for, but
I could see 3 or 4 pieces coming back for McMahon and OEL. 4 pieces.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You could be sitting here, we could do our show on Monday and go, hey, the Leafs have multiple firsts and a bunch of seconds, or whatever. There could be real assets and a ton of cap space, and you go, okay, there's a vision here, there's a direction. You can sell this. Guys always become available. We don't know at the draft who's out there, but people are unhappy with their situations. Good players. I am curious about St. Louis still. Like, all those guys are available.
Yeah.
No one's moved.
Mhm.
Is Parayko, Thomas, Kyrou.
They all have
Shen.
no moves.
And yeah, I know that, but where will they go is the question. Like Parayko, guys in St. Louis, and he's turned down deals to Winnipeg and Buffalo. Sure, he'd say yes to Los Angeles.
Just on the OEL thing, I would admit to you guys that I if it's going to be a good package coming back from Detroit or coming back from, I've seen the Boston link here and there, and maybe Treliving should just maybe not call Don Sweeney anymore.
No more deals with
I
Boston.
think that's just something you should maybe avoid. But the thought of him going to a division rival, like, I really have loved the Oliver Ekman-Larsson experience. Like the
that
last
has been a shocking.
for sure. Like last year, I thought he was really good. This year, he's clearly been, offensively better. But just what he brings, he cares. He loves being a Leaf. It does suck that you do have to trade him because he obviously wanted to be here. He made a 4-year commitment. He didn't think the Leafs were going to suck halfway through his second year here.
Yeah.
It just, I wouldn't love seeing him for 2 more years in Detroit.
And what are the chances that they fill that slot in, that they replace him with something that's even 70 or 80% OEL?
Right. Well, and at what cost, right? It does get a lot harder. And as I've said, he's one of the guys who has 3 years of term this year plus 2 more.
Yeah.
So, you can flip him next year and he's still a valuable guy. But I understand these things are at odds. Me being like, get as many picks as you can and trying to win next year. So it depends how serious they are about next year. But it also puts you in a position with OEL where you're genuinely not willing to move him without a great price. And that's a great place to be.
We got Luke Fox coming in about half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Lawton will join us on our national hour as well. We'll get in a lot more on Colton Parayko turning down the deal with the Buffalo Sabres. Actually,
Strick was all over that one, boys.
you know what? Strick was unbelievable yesterday, boys.
He brought the juice.
He was like, he
Binnington
nailed
only
it.
wants to
but
play in Toronto.
He nailed
Armstrong
it. Everybody's already,
Parayko's not going to Buffalo.
everybody around, right? Whether you're a podcast or another TV show or radio, whatever, they're like already breaking down what Parayko would mean he's going to do for Buffalo. And he
was like,
comes on our
wait.
show and goes, yeah, I don't think he's going.
He looks into he gets as close as he possibly can to the camera and says,
Just got a text here.
Oh man, that was some good stuff. But when it started floating around about Nick Roy and a potential first rounder, I asked Brian Lawton. I sent him a text and I go, "Can you see a world where Nick Roy gets a first rounder?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, Colorado."
Oh, yeah.
Colorado.
Lots has been tweeting about, he's been insidering it up. He's hit on a number of things over the past couple days.
So we're excited to have him at the top of the hour on our national program. Last night, I don't know. Was there a game?
last night?
Is there a game, Sammy?
Yeah, they got filled in again.
They didn't give was it 60 shot attempts?
They're-
47 real
They
shots?
gave up the most shots they've given up all year long. I think there's 47 shots. Anthony Stolar is
To a team that's 15th in the East.
worse than them in the standings. But
Why can't Craig Berube kind of fix that same look every game?
it's every game.
Why?
I have no idea.
That's not for
Even
today.
if you
I watch him
just
every
said,
night.
I don't care if we score another goal the rest of the season,
Yeah.
we can't look like that defending.
Quit giving it back to them.
It's
Quit flipping it out. Make a pass. Hang on to it. Go cycle. Get the Sedins on the team.
I mean,
Don't be too fancy.
this is a question for you guys, but his quote unquote system takes a ton of commitment, right?
You're blocking shots.
Blocking shots, you're working. It's got to be hard for Craig Berube to convince these guys to play the way he wants them to play when you're 11 points out of a playoff
I'd
spot
give that
and you're in
credence
dead last.
if it weren't every game all year long.
Sure.
This is where
been-
this a
but,
new
like,
development.
Since they've come back from the break, it's been particularly awful.
Yeah.
Like even the game against Philly, they had the good second period, but the first and third they got filled in for most of it. Like they are playing like one of the worst teams in the league.
God, if they had
They're
only tanked when I
bad.
wrote that
Bad.
they should tank, that top 5 would be within reach, but it just isn't.
And can I read you what their schedule is coming up?
Oh, this is fun. Stay tuned, folks.
Because it's bad right now, fellas. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not great right now. But after, I'm just pulling it up here, sorry. After they play the Rangers tonight, home Tampa, at the Canadiens, home for the Ducks, at the Sabres, at the Wild, home Islanders, home Hurricanes, at the Senators.
Those are almost all playoff teams.
It's going to get a lot worse here. And I'm starting to wonder, if they could maybe for this hellscape of a season, they maybe get some lottery ball luck and they get down into the bottom 5. I'm starting to kind of
Hope
cling
is
to
not
that a little
plan.
bit. I know it's not.
I know. Listen, I said as much myself. I wrote it.
You got 8 other teams thinking the same way right now.
And to Doug McLean's point the other day, and to your point, it's almost impossible. You would have to be vile. Win like 5 games the rest of the year.
Where's the win in the next 8?
But Craig Berube,
Haven't they lost like
this time?
they lose every night. They're the worst team.
Craig Berube thought he was playing his best lineup
2
in
nights
New
ago.
He
Yeah.
And in Philly,
Against Philly, they addressed their playoff team.
They put Matthews and Nylander together with Nyes on the top line.
McMahon
on the top line.
And then they went Nyes, Tavares.
Do you guys want to hear any of the thoughts from last night?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
about the
so
match, I guess.
play the first clip on the all the scratches and what the effect it had on the team. Clip 1, please, Derek.
Well, it does. I mean, it's tough. Like we want to win games, and when you come to the rink and there's three important players that aren't in the lineup, it's going to impact the guys. But I thought the guys came out and were ready to play, which that's important. I thought our captain led the way in that department. I thought he worked tonight and competed, but it's tough for sure.
I don't know. Maybe my standards are too high. I didn't see a lot of that.
Austin?
Talking about everything.
Austin's like, if you take the last 2 games in the Olympics, he hasn't scored a goal in 11 games.
Yeah.
He played 25 minutes and had 6 shots last night. But
Is that the way it's going to be for the next 20 games? Austin and Morgan playing 25 minutes a night?
So this
Is that needed?
coach is coaching for his job still.
this is where I talked about it coming back on that show when I've seen people say that it's too late in the season to potentially let Craig go. But this is the exact reason that, like, part of me just wants to set him free here, where he's coaching last night to absolutely win. And in the next week, starting Saturday night against Tampa, we are going to see some Marlies in this lineup. We're going to see some people, out of this lineup, and he's still going to be playing his top guys however much because his mindset is to win, and credit to him or whatever. But, like, they need a different mindset here.
March 27th, 2025, John Tortorella is coaching the Philadelphia Flyers. They lose 7-2 to the Leafs, actually. And after the
I
game,
remember.
Yeah, I
he
remember that.
says, really not interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now. And we came on air the next day, and we said, you can't have him go back in that room the next day. And he didn't. They let him go.
Yeah.
That was March 27th.
I remember that very
Today-
clearly.
Today's March 5th.
There's some parallels.
The only difference is Berube wants this.
Yeah.
He wants to be a part of this, wants to be
Yeah.
a part of the solution, and,
Yeah.
and Torts didn't. But I would say my only point there is that it's not too late in the season to say we just need
Set him
a
free,
different
man.
direction.
Like, get him out of
I
this.
would
They're going to finish the year.
I would, what I would do is I'd start bringing in half a dozen Marlies in the equation, and I treat the next 20 games like a training camp with exhibition games. And show me what you have. Show me how hard you want to fight for next year's job. Show me that you want to be on the power play. Just that's the way I think I would go about it. I mean, the wins and losses.
Yeah.
So it's not wins and losses. It's just compete. That's all.
So I'm totally with you.
Go ahead.
Get ready to learn about Bo Gruel and Luke Hames and William Villeneuve and guys like that. So that's cool, and I'm on board with that. Kip
Quillen.
Quillen. How is Austin Matthews? How are Austin Matthews and William Nylander going to handle that environment? And I think the point you'll make is that your pros be a pro. You're the leaders.
Mhm.
But what do we expect?
Listen, they're not the first guys in the history of the game to be on a sucky team. Okay? It happens.
Yeah,
And
sure does.
you said it. Just be a pro. Get to the end of the year. Put your brave face on. Get to the end of the year. And then go have your meetings.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be a hell of an exit meeting. Whoever's
Who's
in
going to
charge.
be interviewing who in that exit meeting?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Austin's
But
going
it
to
could
be
be
interviewing
Sammy.
Brad.
Who knows by then?
Sammy's GM.
It'll be a maybe it's a Rogers employee. I don't know.
I mean,
Fabro.
I've built a hell of a beer league team in the Zigzags. Maybe I could get in there.
I don't know. But somebody's going to do it.
But
And
honestly, it'll be, instead of them saying, Austin, what are you going to look like next year when you come back? He's going to be saying to them, what are we going to look like next year when I come back?
You can't BS them either.
No.
Like, yeah, you may have to suck it up for a year. But
That's a tough sell.
At this point of his career, that's different than 4 or 5 years ago.
how can you look any of them in the eye and say, we're going back to the playoffs next year?
Oh, because I believe that's the story they're trying to sell. I believe that Tree is trying to, keep his job by selling that story to everyone.
I think, okay, we'll just, I'm in for now. I got 2 years left on my deal. You know, you're telling me this with a straight face. I'll go with it. And we'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
We'll watch. We'll watch your June. We'll watch your July. We'll watch your August. We'll see what the roster looks in September.
And in December, I'm going to be in your office going, hey, we're 11-28. Can I go to California?
I've heard the Kings are great. But to your point about treating this as a training camp and, like seeing what you got, do either of you guys...
Don't got much, man.
I know. But do either of you guys believe that Craig Berube, who's come in here for them to win, is not going to play Tavares and Matthews 20 minutes, 25 minutes? Like, do you actually have trust that he's going to play these guys?
What is the point? What is the point of doing it though? Like if you go,
He's coaching for his job, Kim.
13 or 14 and 7, that's you're building on something.
14 and 7. I just don't think.
Well, 13 and 7. What do they have? 20 games left. If they went 13 and 7, that doesn't get you anywhere near the playoffs.
No.
But you're going in next year saying, yeah, I saw in 13 out of 20 games that he's the guy. and these are the players.
Yeah, I tweeted this earlier, and we texted about it last night. The incentive to lose is twofold. One is to get low enough that you have a higher percentage chance of getting a lottery ball, right? First or second overall. So if you finish 6th, Kip, which is viable for them, they would have 15% chance of getting first or second overall. That's as good as they can do. But here's the other part of that.
God,
By the way, all you're doing is just punting it because you're just punting
I
it
know,
because
you still have to give up the pick.
and it could be a first or second or third overall instead of a 7th.
Yeah, but if it's going to be top 5, you'd take it.
and 27, and then the next year and the next year are both completely unprotected.
Yeah. The other part of this, though,
It's not a good recipe.
Where you finish also affects all your pick in every other round, right? If you finish 7th, you pick 7th in the second round, in the third round, the fourth round, as opposed to going 13-7, finishing 14th or whatever last, and then it's just a better pick in every round. So there's some incentive to lose. I cannot see any incentive to win unless you believe in this winning culture and we're going to develop it. You're not going to develop it over the next 20 games. Not when you're trading players who could help you win.
Yeah, but I don't trust that the coach isn't going to do that.
Well, we've talked about the disconnect, and if there's a disconnect between the coaching staff and the management,
And I don't even want to say this as like a criticism to Berube.
No, don't blame him for wanting
He
to
wants
win.
to win. He's the coach. Like I get it. He came here to win. It's just I don't think that should be their priority at this very time, which is a hard thing to sell to some people. But
It unequivocally should not be their priority.
Yeah.
You guys still feel like Nyes is going to play the I'm hurt card kind of this year? Or
Right the season off. He scored, man.
I'm just saying, though, like, if we do believe that there's something not there, and I'll include Matthews, like, You got to start thinking about shutting these guys down, no?
Well, that's a fair point too, and one that I made in my article as well a while back. That like, if something's not right, then let's just get you healthy for next year.
Well,
Let's get everyone so they can have a full summer of training. It's not even about being ready for next year. It's about training all summer. Nyes, by the way, 50 points already this year in 59 games.
Did you?
I know it hasn't looked.
Did you see the picture that's going around of Matthews in the dressing room
No.
with like the bands? Like he's got all
The
the
kinesio
bands
tape.
on his shoulder, and it's just like if he's playing through literally anything,
Oh yeah.
stop right now, and just it's time to hit the shelf, baby.
Yeah.
Shelf time.
The man, to me, got old like that.
Yeah.
And
Kind of like you
if
spinning out
we're-
this
yeah,
morning.
kind of like me this morning with my back.
In
But
your
like,
defense.
I did see the picture of him in the
Spinal.
dressing room.
You saw that picture.
I saw it, and I'm like, is he being held together with masking tape right now?
Like you have more than enough evidence over the last year and a half, boys, to be like, just go see a doctor and be ready in September.
But to me, it just
Stretch a lot
I
and
saw him, and I'm like,
Light.
God, he got old. It feels like he got old on us very fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's how time works.
People like you wearing on them. It's emotional damage.
But
Yeah.
do you see John Tavares go down the ice on the nice goal with
All
1,000
jokes
miles an
aside,
hour?
Flying.
Flying.
That's the best he's skated.
No, in like I've seen him in 8 years here.
Oh, yeah, it was a beeline up the ice. And by the way, fascinating stat, which I think, Sam, you actually had in here. 300th assist. He is the 10th player in NHL history to record 300 assists with multiple franchises. And I was like, he does not fit assist.
Yeah.
This list is like Ron Francis and Messier and Gretzky and Coffey, dishing magicians out there. Tavares just shoots it off pads, trying to score,
Yeah.
getting those assists. It's like, there's a Tavares assist, a classic
I was going to say
Tavares
a
assist.
fall away jumper that lands on someone's stick
Yeah,
right here.
I'm going top cheese solo, buddy, and
mean,
apple.
You should probably have that one there, Mark.
Where's the goalie going? He's in the corner. I was going at the middle of the net.
I will say, watching 3-on-3 the past couple nights hasn't been a great reminder of what happened a couple weeks ago. Seeing Jack Hughes zipping around out there, I was like, God, I
A
don't
lot of
want him-
people tweeting about
didn't want him to win it last night.
he was not burying a pretty clean look in 3-on-3 last night. That hurt.
What was that one?
Yeah.
Italy.
All right, take a quick break. What
Yeah, sure. Actually,
do you want,
just,
Sammy?
Just to finish up, last thing on the Lawton conversation that we had earlier at the top about, now that you traded Waugh, Wang, to trade him or keep him. Just listen to this clip from Easton Cowan on Scott Lawton from last night. I thought it was really interesting. Clip 1 from Easton Cowan.
Yeah, he's been nothing but good to me. Honestly, I haven't known him long, but probably wouldn't be the person I am right now without him. Just a great teammate. Yeah, it's unfortunate, obviously. It sucks.
Would not be the person I am right now without him. He's been his teammate for like 5 months. That to me is like
That stuff
crazy.
matters so much to me.
It's
And
going
it's
to be
just
hard
like,
to replace that.
Yeah.
big time.
They don't have that. Matthews
No.
isn't that. Nylander
No,
is not
none of
that.
them are that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem.
And to me, I've said Lawton is one of the few guys that has the intangible makeup that have legitimate value to me that I would pay extra to keep.
Totally. All right, we should go now.
Okay, coming up next after the break, Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca, follows the Leafs as much as anybody out there. We'll get his thoughts on where the Leafs go between now and 3 p.m. tomorrow. Back after these words. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to our very trusted voice of reason on our show every once in a while, Luke Fox. Luke, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
New York City, baby.
Yeah, I had to come home early.
Oh,
because
you're not there.
We got a big show. We got a big show tomorrow. So in order to cover the game and get back in time for the big trade deadline show, I had to come home early. So I was in New Jersey, but I just flew home.
Must have a lot of air miles, man.
Yeah.
Is there a sense the last few days being around the team that it's a real foreign feeling for this group to be in the position that they're in? Could you see it in their body language, Luke, and the way they carried themselves?
You're exactly right, Nick. And I feel like it's been slow to catch on. I feel like they were almost going through a denial stage.
Totally.
Like for me, I sensed this building pretty early on in the season. They got that bump after Christmas. But when they lost that 5-game homestand, to me, that was the nail in the coffin. But it wasn't for them, especially when they went out west on the Troy Stetcher revenge tour and they won all those games. There was a real sense of belief. And I think just this week, it's starting to sink in. And the fact that, I was around the team yesterday, those guys got scratched late. And they're standing around after the game just in their coats. And guys are walking up to them and they don't know if it's the last time they're saying goodbye to them. It started to really hit. And I asked William Nylander, like, all you've known basically is winning and making the playoffs with this team. And how does this feel? Like, how are you processing what's happening? And he's kind of like, it's weird. I don't know how to feel. And I kind of don't want to think about it too much. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just starting to sink in now, and it's probably later than it sunk in from analysts and a lot of fans, but it's starting to hit them now.
Yeah, they tried to stay in the fight as long as they could. And so I guess I'm curious to get your thoughts on the idea of trading the 3 guys that they've pulled out of the lineup and the idea of a retool and competing again next year. Are these things at odds, or can they trade those 3 guys and go back at it again next year?
I think they can, but where is the go back at it, Justin? Like it used to be, go back at it and win a Stanley Cup. Right. Now it's, be the Boston Bruins, I guess, would be the model, and you're back into being relevant, fighting for a playoff spot, hoping you're healthier, there's a lot of hope involved, right? You're hoping Chris Tanev comes back, and it's the Chris Tanev we saw 2 seasons ago. You're hoping Austin Matthews gets back to the production of 2 seasons ago. You're hoping William Nylander's healthier. You're hoping Matthew Nyes takes the step he really didn't take. There's a lot of things that have to break right for you. And in my mind, I also think it's just overdue that they have a new set of eyes behind the bench and try to re-envision how they play. So I think there's a path to get back to playoff status. Whether this is a Stanley Cup contender, that really feels like a stretch at this point.
You're watching and listening to Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. So in the meantime, Luke, 20 games to go. Now, you were around the team. It felt, at least going into New Jersey, that Craig Berube was going to play his best lineup like he did on the weekend. And the old switcheroo. 3 guys are out. And lo and behold, the one guy that isn't out gets traded today. How do you make sense of all of this?
Yeah, it was kind of ironic, right? And when we were talking to Nick Roy in the morning about the trade rumors and what he enjoys about being a Leaf, kind of bracing ourselves to write these stories of Nick Roy could get traded within the next 48 hours. And he is the one guy who gets dealt and he plays. It was really bizarre because Berube was asked point blank about sitting guys in the name of roster management. And he said, not tonight. And then got a chance to talk to some of the players after the game. And Anthony Stolarz didn't find out until he ran into Scott Lawton in the lobby on the way to the game that he wasn't playing. Matthew Nyes had to get to the rink and see these empty stalls and be like, wait, what a sec, what's going on here? And the guys themselves, like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, had played every single game for the Leafs, despite getting banged up. He was the only defenseman to play every single game. He fully thought he was playing, and it came as a complete shock to him. So whether that's Brad Treliving got some things cooking in the few hours between morning skate, which didn't finish till around 12:30, we talked to Berube, and puck drop, or he just came to his senses and said, hey, like, I better protect what I got here and scratch some of these guys. I have enough healthy bodies to fill in. But I was talking to Troy Stetcher, and he was like all ticked off that he wasn't going to play, and then he played. It was a really bizarre situation, and to me, it speaks to there being a little bit of a disconnect.
Oh, there's that word again.
I know, between head office and coach. I think there's one between what the style the coach wants the guys to play and how they're playing. I think there's a disconnect between the organization and the fan base. It all seems a little hazy, but at least it's starting to come into focus. At least, we know they're selling right now with the Nick Waugh deal, at least signaled that there is some action being taken.
So the guys that were withheld are the guys who presumably have some value for the Leafs. There are guys who don't have as much value, who I'm not sure are a part of the solution here. Like Matthias Michelli this year, it didn't work. I don't know if they're just going to take him to the end of the year and let him walk and not qualify him, or if they're able to get something. Do you think like Benoit, some of these fringe pieces have the chance to get moved in the next 24 hours, or is this stuff they'll sort out in the summer?
Sure, I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
If you're a GM who wants one of these guys, give Brad a call.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he'd listen on Benoit. I think he'd listen on Stetcher, Michelli for sure. He probably had his nicest goal of the year.
Right.
But he just was never a fit for the coach, right? It just didn't feel like his kind of player. Maybe, I can't see a world where he's back. So they probably don't qualify him. But if you can add him into a package with one of these other guys, then go for it. I really think they're kind of listening to all options. It's just, time's running out. So a lot of the buyers have already started to make their moves. I saw Stan Bowman just say that basically they're done now. Maybe he's being coy, but some teams have kind of already made their move.
Luke, watching Anthony Stolarz the other night kind of makes you, and probably many Leaf fans go, man, what could have been, right? if by chance he could have had any luck and string out 40 or 50 games, but it's not in the guy.
No, he can't stay healthy, Nick. And I love the way he tends the net. Like there's still, it dipped for sure at the beginning of the year. I think he got his wrist slapped behind the scenes for coming out and ripping the team. He basically saw what we're all seeing now. He was one of the first guys to vocalize it. He wasn't wrong.
Don't start me on that one.
I know. He should have kept his mouth shut, and I think he realizes that. I mean, even last night he said that they had a great defensive effort. They didn't have a great defensive effort.
I saw that interview and I was like, all right, Anthony.
They had a great goalie though. And when he's in the zone, there's fewer guys that you trust, like when he's really feeling it.
Totally.
So I don't know. The goalie market's so strange, and it's almost like a buyer's market for goalies. There's all these goalies available all of a sudden. But for sure, they can't go into the season with three of these guys because Hildeby isn't waivers exempt. So you're listening on Stolarz, you're listening on Joseph Woll. But when both those guys are at their peak, I think I prefer Stolarz over Woll when they're at their absolute best.
I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 guys in the league, you're right, who like when they're on that are better than him. He's got a great look in net. So we did an over-under on total moves for the Leafs pre-deadline. I said I'd be okay with 4. Give me 4 total, 3 more from now. Where do you think they fall on that scale? Total moves by the deadline.
I'll say 2 more, but I think you're about right.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't like the idea of re-signing Bobby McMahon for something Kiefer Sherwood light. I think he's a great story. I think he's a great kid, fast as hell. But I'm not giving that guy term if it's my call. I think he brings something you could probably find for cheaper and less of a term commitment. So if he's gunning for something in the ballpark of Sherwood, I trade him and I let him walk. The Lawton one to me is interesting because I think he's also priced himself out. But the great irony here is they need more Scott Laughtons. They need more Oliver Ekman-Larssons. These guys are so good for that room. They're adults. They give you a straight answer. They help their teammates. They set a good example. They play through pain. They actually need more of these guys, and it's too bad because they're the exact type of guys that if you're about to go on a deep playoff run, you want to rent them. I get why there's interest in them.
Luke, great stuff. Have a great trade deadline day tomorrow. Pack a big lunch and bring a deck of cards or something too, just in case.
I'm just setting up shop at the Ford Performance Center. There's no practice. It's just hanging out, waiting for news.
Just waiting for guys to walk by with a garbage bag full of equipment.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
That is Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. So I got to think Brad's sitting on something, and it's just a matter when those teams come back to him and say, we're ready. He did it to Calgary last year, he did it to Philadelphia last year as he sat on Calgary trying to get Anderson and Uyghur.
So you think he has stuff in place?
I think he does. I think other teams do. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't surprise me, again, to see these lesser teams now that are kind of – Utah has a lot of irons. I think Anaheim, like if Bobby McMahon ended up in Anaheim, it wouldn't surprise me at all, right? One of those teams that are like, hey, okay, nobody's really looking at us as a Stanley Cup contender, but Bobby McMahon can come in here, and if he could show his worth and get some great chemistry with some of our big boys here, I'll give him $4.5 million next year.
Totally. Yeah, you can see that. And Anaheim's, you mentioned the team in that Pacific. It's like you get hot for a couple weeks.
What do they
conference final?
What do they have to give up to get Bobby McMahon?
Second rounder. I think that's the going rate right now.
It's just tough because that's not the going rate. Like Nick Dowd was a second and a third.
I know.
There's big movement on guys that are pretty just okay.
Those guys kill penalties, I think, and they're key face-off guys, and Bobby's just Bobby McMahon.
I think if you put
skating miles an hour.
Yeah, he plays for the Leafs.
I think if you put those guys in a room,
can't say he's worth anything.
I'm telling you, Nick Dowd, I didn't see those multiple picks there either. So I don't know. There's a going rate for center iceman right now, guys.
Some of these guys, it's McCarron and Dowd, and some of the value that they're getting. It's a high bar right now.
There's a few desperate teams, Well,
you just need one.
So just mentioning, I look at Calgary right now, and everybody says, 3 second-round picks basically is the meat of that trade for Uyghur. But the Leafs kicked their tires on Uyghur, and Calgary said, no, we're not making them available this time last year. Mm-hmm. And then a year later, you move them for 3 second-rounders when the Leafs would have easily given you their first and Minton. Now, you tell me which trade you would rather have today.
Did Calgary think they were something different than they are? Were they hoping to come back and
I don't know,
be
but
good this year?
This time last year, where we have no interest in moving Uyghur.
God, I wish
Uyghur over Carlos.
I just wish. Nice. Well, honestly, I just wish Uyghur was on the. Minton was just on the Flames.
Yeah,
it'd be such an easier pill to swallow.
Okay, more of that talk when we come back in our national hour. Brian Lawton, who's been there, done that in every conceivable way, as a player, as an agent, and as an executive, joins us next as we get ever so closer to trade deadline Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't go away. We're just getting started. Under 24 hours for the NHL trade deadline. Welcome to the National Hour of Real Kyper and Bourne. We are live on Sportsnet. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, 960 in Calgary, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. Also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts at your convenience. And of course, we love being on YouTube as well. They're big chats and our thumbs up. All right.
And we are the live version of the do something meme, poking a stick at all the GMs.
In a couple of minutes, we'll welcome in Brian
Things have
Lawton.
been done.
Not many. No, way less than past years. Way less.
Lots as a former player, agent, general manager, executive. He's done it all, so he knows a lot about what's going on
That's
behind the
actually
scenes.
how he got his name.
Lots?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm here to help.
I like it.
All right.
I like it. In the meantime, guys, and we'll get into this with lots. Colton Parayko, this time yesterday, the whole hockey world's breaking down the trade. Buffalo's feeling great. They're getting this shutdown guy, and they are loving life. I'm sure a page for St. Louis Blues fans has been turned on one of their stellar players that helped win a Stanley Cup, and everybody's moving on. And then we had Andy Strickland, who does a great job covering the Blues, on the show yesterday, and he goes, not so fast.
Yeah.
He was all over it. He got, like, right from the start, he was like, I'd be surprised. And I was surprised to hear him say that.
It's become a bit of a talking point, the idea of how fair it is that it feels like some of these players with no move clauses are being pressured by their organization by putting it out there. How do you feel about that? How does the NHLPA feel about that?
I wrote my article today in the Toronto Star, and I do a few, one of those, enders, and I'm like, I'm all pro player. Okay. I get as much rights as you can. I said, but the big picture is these no trade things, they're not helping the league. It's not keeping it fresh. It's not moving it. There's lack of circulation in our game. Can't grow without any circulation. I don't like them. But in this instance, I am all for Colton Parayko having his rights, and I would be incredibly pissed if I'm Colton Parayko.
I know you're getting booed every time you go to Buffalo. Your fans are disappointed.
Whether it leaks from the St. Louis Blues or the Buffalo Sabres or wherever the leak is from, okay, you end up making me look like an idiot, a bad guy, a villain. Buffalo hates me now.
Even your old fans who might have been excited about a fresh young return.
But why? Why would I didn't even do anything?
Incentivize.
I didn't do anything.
The team.
Like
the Blues.
The team. So, and I also want to say, I don't blame reporters for putting it out there. If a team tells me that this trade is complete, if a guy agrees to it, I'm reporting that.
Yeah.
That's the news. So I don't blame them either.
But
the teams.
I'm going back. If I'm Colton Parayko, I'm going back to the St. Louis Blues and go, like,
hey, what was that?
I told you I'm not going to Buffalo. Did I? I told you that already.
Right.
I told you that the day we signed our contract when it said no move.
I have not agreed to that.
So you need to come back and get my permission. And you went and traded me without my permission.
And it's not like he's a rental, boys. He's got 4 more years.
Yeah, you're asking him to relocate his life for years.
Yes.
And now he's the biggest villain in Buffalo recent history.
Yeah.
And for what?
Patrick Mahomes, like a word.
But are you following me?
Yes.
I didn't do anything except
exercise his right.
Exercise my rights, and now I'm a bad guy here.
Yeah. And like Parayko sounds like he's still willing to move. It's just that was not the right fit for him. And I even saw some people questioning, like, oh, what, you want to stay on a bad team in St. Louis rather than go play for a contender?
See, it started already.
Yeah, and it's like, well, hang on now. I have the right to. Who knows how good Buffalo's going to be over the next 4 years?
I have the right to not live in Buffalo. Yeah. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or maybe he doesn't believe in the team as much as everyone else does.
Whatever it is, it's his decision and his alone. We don't need to figure it out. But it's not our business.
Sucks for Sabres fans because you're getting an awesome, like making a really exciting trade at the deadline when your first good year in however many years, and it's like,
Now people go, ha ha, Buffalo.
Old Buffalo again.
See, I wouldn't leave it at this. If I'm the Players Association right now, I'd investigate this. I'd want to know where the leak came from. I want to know how it worked. I want to avoid this ever again because St. Louis looked like idiots. Buffalo looks like idiots. Colton looks like an idiot. And we look like idiots for talking about the deal was done.
Yeah.
God, we got straight.
Okay? Everybody comes out of this with egg on their faces, including us. And it can't happen again. There is some sort of protocol. Please tell me there's a protocol that's somehow you need to follow here about no moves.
Yeah. No, I mean, I 100% agree with you.
And I think it should come from the Players Association to investigate this so they can protect their players better than this.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of evolution with no move clauses because you're right.
I think
you can't have half the players in every team having it.
I guess my memory's starting to go on me, but we went through this with there is a reason why the Ottawa Senators don't have their first round pick.
It stinks, man.
Okay? Because someone screwed up there too. They made a trade. It leaked. The guy had a no trade clause that you ignored.
It's pretty crazy that happened.
It was crazy. But like this stuff's got to stop. Like please tell me we can be all better professionals than this.
Well, here's to hoping.
Okay, that's my rant. Let's bring in Brian
Well said,
Lawton.
bud.
He'll explain this a lot better than me. Lots. How are you, my friend?
I am shocked to see you today, Kyper.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's in rough
Bad
shape.
back and all, but you know what, Lots? Suck it up, Buttercup, right?
Exactly.
Game day.
We are in death what we were when we were alive as players.
Okay, Lots. Biggest story so far, and one of the bigger ones all season long, is Colton Parayko, an Olympian, right? Key figure on the blue line for the St. Louis Blues, gets traded yesterday, and we all think it's a done deal. We're breaking it down, and not so fast. So from where you're sitting, whether you know or not know, how does something like this happen?
When you trace it back, you have to, one of the key things you'd want to know is how did the press even find out about something like this? I generally think you can find the answer to that, and I feel like I've talked to a number of people today that have a pretty strong idea. Colton Parayko, first off, is a great guy, revered by his teammates, a hard-nosed player, honest player, all the things you'd love in a teammate. This is unusual circumstances, to say the least. I'm not sure why. I've been in situations like that. I have a pretty good understanding of it, but all you really need to do is communicate with the player ahead of time, not after the fact. And how this got turned upside down is unknown right now, but it's a total lose-lose-lose situation. Loss for St. Louis, loss for Buffalo, Kyper, and a loss for Colton. So from that perspective, you don't love it.
Okay, so Lots, just tell me from what you know in terms of any protocols or typically what happens, or how's the best way a general manager can go and handle this? Is it find a trade partner, get a deal done, and then go back to the player as quietly as possible? Or is it, I'm talking to 3 teams, one of them's Buffalo, are you okay with that? Like, tell me what the best scenario is for, in this instance, for Doug Armstrong if he was to do it all over again.
Yeah, in this scenario, and a lot of people, myself included, originally when I looked at Colton's file, you can find online, it says he has a 15-team no trade, but that doesn't really start till 28. So effectively, he has a no trade still in place from what I could tell. So when you get to that scenario where a player has a no trade, you're wasting your time and the opposing team's time, which does not appreciate that. Generally, they could have told Buffalo and said, look, he has a no trade, but if we work something out, I'll go to him. But this one dragged on, and it just didn't feel right the way it ended. You wish that it would have been done the opposite way, which is where you contact the player. And I've done this. I had Mark Recchi, who we traded to Boston one of the years when I was in Tampa. And I just went to Mark and said, Mark, we're not going to make the playoffs. You're 41 years old, 40 years old at this point. I'm going to do my best to try to find a good place for you. Are you opposed to going anywhere? You know, how do you feel about it? He said, I'm fine. Just keep me updated. I went out. I had a couple offers, one from Boston and one from Nashville. Nashville actually made a better offer, but Mark was the type of veteran with his tenure in the league that I wanted to make sure that we treated him right. We ended up trading him to Boston. He ended up winning a Stanley Cup. Mark was not super happy with me at that time because he wasn't playing much, but I don't think he was unhappy with me in terms of how we handled that. Because you just communicate to him and you get ahead of it. And that feels like it didn't happen here. But, you know, Doug will speak on that, Armstrong. Yarmo will have some comments, I'm sure, on that. It's water under the bridge. It's a tough job. But it really was just a kind of a dead loser for everyone involved at the end of the day. Some people say they're trying to pressure the player. I don't know. We'd have to hear from Doug on that. That's not the type of guy Doug generally is. Doug's a very straight shooter. So I think a lot of people are going to want to find out what happened. But at the end of the day, it's a terrible situation if you go through this and you're not traded.
But it's more than that. It's more than him and Doug, right? I mean, Tyler Myers had it with Detroit recently, right? We knew that we were waiting on him to see what he was going to do. This feels like something that's happening and something that is definitely worth addressing.
Yeah, and just overall lots. Like, trade days are always something that a lot of markets look forward to. It's a chance to think about improving, new players, new favorites. It's an exciting time. I don't know if we've ever experienced these no trade or no moves, you know, kind of shutting down the system as much as we've seen this year. And I'm looking at even guys in their mid-30s. Adam Henrique's good player still, I'm sure, and has some value, but Edmonton signs him a couple of years ago, and he has a complete no move. And I'm like, wow. Like, why do these guys hand them out like it's Halloween candy?
Well, I mean, I can explain to you exactly how it happens, but why they make that decision is unknown. Victor Arvidsson was also signed, if my memory serves me correctly, at that time, and he also got a no move. And I believe last year there was an opportunity to move him, and he didn't want to move. So the moral of the story is that when you look at teams, nobody's going to be shocked that Connor McDavid, we're talking about Edmonton, and Leon Draisaitl have no moves. Evan Bouchard does. You go further down the line, and they've got guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I'm doing this by memory, Zach Hyman. But then when you think of Arvidsson and Henrique in there with those core guys, then you say that just doesn't quite pass the test as to why. But I can explain to you how it happens. You want to re-sign these guys. There's not a lot of players available. Both those two players, I feel like, were signed either right before or right around July 1st. The Oilers, to be fair to them, had gone to the finals. They wanted to keep their team together. This was after the first run to the Cup for them. And they did end up going back. Arvidsson did end up getting moved eventually in the summer. But when you look at that, you say, much rather see a no trade there. Because ultimately the players are right to want protection, but the team is right to want to do the right thing for the organization and maintain flexibility. I don't think it serves anybody in the end if you get hammered by someone who says, well, I'll resign here, but I got to have a no move. And then you look at the hierarchy of where they fit in the team, and they're really outside of what I think most people would think a player should have that kind of control. But teams are forced to live with it. And the real problem is that if you go through all the contracts, which I have in the National Hockey League, you'll see that we're really up in these ways. Agents are smarter. Players want to have more control. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure it serves, an intended purpose. I think it's more prohibitive and potentially more embarrassing for both sides, as we've seen with some of these deals this year.
Lots, you've been fairly active on Twitter the last day or two, kind of getting, hearing little bits, dribs and drabs as it goes here. Are you hearing anything else that you think is likely out there? What's coming? What's got you most engrossed in your phone these days? These hours?
There's still some big deals left, but I'm always interested in, how clubs go about team building. And, there was a little bit of an undercurrent about a number of teams, just they all wanted more toughness. I thought those things might have got polished off first, but the way that the market's exploded, that's all been pushed to the back end now. That could be Evander Kane, that could be Nick Delorier, could be Garnett Hathaway, just teams that, because I hear a lot when I talk to teams, we're just missing that character, and I'm surprised that stuff hasn't started to drop. I'd imagine that'll end up dropping in the very end when you're managing a trade deadline. You'd like to try to get that stuff out of the way if you can early, because you don't know which way the market's going to go. And it's clear this year the market got ridiculous. Nick and I had a conversation yesterday.
I told them already about Nick Roy,
Yes.
and I'm like, can the Leafs really get a first rounder for Nick Roy? And you said, yeah. And
I did, because the data was there already.
Right.
Pandora's box had been opened. It seemed rather clear that was going to happen. And you said, well, who would do it? And I said, Colorado first, if they didn't, want to go the distance.
Right.
And a pick, you said.
What's that?
And a pick, you said. A first and a pick.
Yes. A first and a pick. But that's just the way the market's evolving. And I'd like to think now that teams are doing that. When we were in Tampa, this is a long time ago, but we really felt it was important that you were up to the minute because the market is changing. And you had all the information right in front of you. You can see it in real time. Teams are so much better now with that, but this market just flipped over like that.
I thought,
And so forth, that's probably been the biggest story. I still think there's a chance Robert Thomas goes. I still think Kadri will go. I still think Coleman goes. I still think Evander Kane, Nick Delorier. So there's still a lot that's going to transpire between now and 3 p.m. But every year it's different. At one point, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is like rolling it back to mid-2000s. And the standard, I need a first rounder, I need a quality player off your roster, and I need an A prospect, which used to be the standard for a long time for first rounders. That's been bled down. That would have been, an example of that would have been Peter Forsberg going from Philadelphia to Nashville. And that's what it felt like to me, at least by memory as it's happening. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how this is exploding. You're asking me about, Roy, who hasn't had a great, I saw Craig Berube's quote this morning, and I thought that was pretty apropos. By his own account, he hasn't been as offensively good as he would have liked to. He's a little bit below his career mark, but I understood why you were saying, can you really get a first rounder for him? Because I remember after that we talked about not only can you really do it, but it really sets up the rest of your roster if you are a seller like the Leafs should be. You got McManus, you got Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I've had people ask me about Morgan Riley. What's the story there? So the Leafs, Brad did a good job to get that return, and he set himself up that if he wants to, really pivot quickly here to selling a lot of pieces, he could be looking at a pretty hefty haul for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Lots. We are under, 23 hours. And the longer this goes, does it make it more difficult for even a guy like Brad or anyone else across the country to get 2 or 3 more deals in? Or it's getting tight now, isn't it?
Just going to interject that Fogle was traded to the Senators. So Senators fans, you now have Warren Fogle. Congratulations. Sorry,
all right.
Carry on.
The Kings are official sellers.
Really? Think so?
Oh, yeah.
They just traded for Panarin 9 seconds ago.
I know. And then they lost Fogle and they lost a bunch of games.
That's how quickly it can change.
Yeah.
That's how quickly it can change. So, can you get everything in? I think that from this point forward, the market can change on a dime again. You can be feeling really great about something, and as you get closer, you always think it's going to ramp up. And if you run out of demand for the supply, you get crushed. And this turns into literally an economics discussion. Because
except you got a bunch of former hockey players doing it. It's not so brilliant.
Well, there's not a lot of economic degrees. If that's
no, I bet there's zero.
But guys have gotten so much sharper. The group of guys now is a very sharp group.
I know.
They're going to be tracking it. It really comes down to what your barometer is for risk and how you manage that. Because these are. We made a trade one year. I told this story to somebody recently, Chuck Fletcher and I, for Derek Bugard. At the very, very end, we both didn't get accomplished what we wanted, but we both had talked to it. I called him back, and we missed it by about 45 seconds.
Oh.
Like it got turned
hard 45 seconds.
Yeah.
45 seconds. That's a true story. It got turned in. It just got rejected.
Jeez.
Wow.
Then you got to sit there because back then, they'd have backlogs and you don't know if it went through or didn't go through.
So lots. It feels like
Michael Bunting to Dallas.
feels like Colorado made the decision to go with Nick Roy. They gave up their first in getting him. My understanding was they had a deal done for Kadri, and it just didn't pass. I think an ownership stamp of approval here.
Sure.
So,
and that's possible. The Cronkies are, for as wealthy a family as they are, they run their businesses very tight.
No, it might have been Calgary that might have turned it down at the end.
Could have been Calgary. I don't know what the return was.
But in the meantime, you still think Kadri's going to go, and if it's not Colorado now, where do you see Kadri?
I believe that he will go. I believe the incentive is there for Calgary now that they've kind of flipped this thing upside down. So I think they want to move him. Sometimes you have to put your pride aside. If the market dips a little bit and you make a deal that's slightly less than what you thought, this is the challenge for Craig Conroy of being a general manager is, can I wait? Should I wait? Are we turning the whole thing upside down? And, in Calgary's case, trying to build something so that when our new beautiful arena is done, we're rocking and rolling. There's a lot that goes into it, but I do believe he'll be moved. I really do. If it's there, they'll move him. Carolina still needs a second line center, I'd say.
Minnesota,
I think, is running out of powder, so that would be concerning.
Trocheck, I believe there's a deal on the table for Trocheck, and perhaps the Rangers are shopping it.
I'm certain that they're shopping it. I mean, I had an interaction with the Rangers recently here, but it was about something else. But yes, but you're starting to look at who wants a Kadri. Mm-hmm. I thought Colorado would have been the perfect place for them, but Brock Nelson has performed at such a high level that we can say he's been a legitimate second-line center. So now they get Roy, and I think that's fine. But I think that Dallas has the biggest weakness right now.
Dallas just traded for Michael Bunting. That helps your weaknesses there.
And I haven't seen that since we started. But, Michael Bunting, is he going to be that guy in the middle that they need? No.
He's a middle six left winger. Wanted to get your analysis of what the Edmonton Oilers have done. Stan Bowman came out today and said, I imagine we're done. A first ends up going out, Dickinson back. Obviously, they're getting rid of some bad money, too. What are your thoughts on what they've done here? A couple good defensive players in.
I think they were in a really tough spot. They've made a bunch of moves, and they haven't advanced them forward, in my opinion, the way they probably wanted to. So you show up at this deadline, you don't have a lot of cap space. The team's performed fine this year, but they have much higher expectations than being I think they're 20th right now in the league, technically, even though they're in a playoff spot.
Right.
That's pretty significant for a team that has 3 superstars, in my opinion, because I include Evan Bouchard in that. So I think they made their team better. There's no doubt about that. Now we just need to find out how much better. Those kids are obviously capable of carrying a group a long way, but the rest of their group in other areas has been below average. So I don't necessarily believe they needed to swing for the fences. I just think they need to upgrade their weaknesses, which are playing tighter defensively, and you heard Stan talking about that. Dickinson's going to help. Murphy's going to help. I felt like they could have used another legitimate top 4D, but there's just not enough room for where they're at to be able to adjust. They've had some things that the Jari thing hasn't worked out great. Trent Frederick hasn't worked out great. Losing Holloway, obviously, and Broberg. So they've gone through a lot, but I thought Stan did an overall good job, and some of those things happened when he wasn't even there. So I thought he salvaged as much as he could. But ultimately, they got like 20 games left, a little less than that. We'll see how they do.
Okay, just for the record, I got hired in Sportsnet in 1998. I've covered trade deadline shows forever. I've never seen a contending team, their general manager, come out a day before and say, we're done. We're done. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But pretty much done. Like I'm like, what is the benefit?
This is like when boxers
publicly
or fighters win a championship belt and then they say, I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire.
Hey,
unless you pay me a whole bunch.
Was this the 3-day weekend you were planning to go skiing? What is going on with it?
No one believes it.
I don't actually believe they're done. I think they'll do one more thing, but I think that is a signal that they're swapping bodies out here at a critical time. This would not have been the plan, and this is what happens when you're managing a team. This would not have been the plan in the summer. You would have hoped for a different outcome. It's not there. They did a lot of tough work, and now we'll see how it comes to fruition. But I still would be surprised, as you saw the Minnesota Wild today with a little bit of window dressing. Let's just get some depth. We never have enough D. We'll get Jeff Petrie in here. I think Edmonton still has another move like that left. It's not easy, but I think they still need to upgrade the players that they have in the bottom half of their roster as much as they can. An eighth of an inch can make a huge difference for that team because of their superstars.
As I'm legally obligated to do, Islanders going to do Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. Is there anything coming out of St. Louis that's going to head out east?
The whole Robert Thomas thing has been really perplexing.
Yeah.
There has to be, you always think there has to be something there, and yet sometimes there isn't. But I've tried to find out maybe what that is. I think he's a terrific player. I think he's the right age. I think he's still got significant upside.
Good contract.
So that one has mystified me, but that's one where you might find somebody in the organization, somebody really senior that feels differently. But is there still time to get that done? 100%. Especially when St. Louis didn't get Parayko done.
Right.
There's still time for Colton Parayko to be traded. That'd be my first call if I needed a D, which is like
every team.
It's like 60% of the playoff teams, except for maybe a very, very few like Minnesota. Not everybody can do it, so you have to keep that in mind. But Colton Parayko, people forget Brad Marchand was not great in the Four Nations last year. And when he got traded to Florida, people are like, why would you do that? What a waste. I was trying to get teams to trade for him. I was like, you need to call Boston and get Marchand. He didn't play well. His value will be perceived to be down, but that's different hockey. Mm-hmm. And not every player lines up for that. Colton Parayko, I didn't think he played his best hockey in the Olympics. He's going to play some terrific hockey if he ends up in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's just got it in him.
So, Lots, if you go based on that principle, why wouldn't there be teams trying to take a crack at stealing Pettersson out of Vancouver?
Pedersen's an interesting one. A lot of teams are onto this. There's some physical things there that have changed with his last injury, and I hear it more and more. So I know it's kind of floating around out there, and I'm not disputing it. It's just, since his knee injury, there's a few teams that have mentioned they felt like he was slower. Teams are super smart, but if they all came up with that, I feel like it came out of the edge stats that we're producing now. I literally do. That maybe the bursts aren't as much and as high as we're used to seeing. It's caused a little bit of caution for people. At the end of the day, that's something that you literally would go meet with your medical team and say, can this be improved? Because we all know there's been some issues from management and from the player, to be fair, where both sides haven't felt like they're on the same page. And those are problems you can solve if you have a well-run organization and you have a guy that's as talented as he is. So that's a big number. Vancouver doesn't want to eat any money, allegedly. Who would? But if somebody was really pushing, I feel like they could get that done with where Vancouver's at right now.
Awesome stuff. Lots. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this, pal.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, lots.
All be watching with bated breath. Great to see you.
That is former NHL player agent, general manager Brian Lawton.
The Kadri thing you said there was interesting. Just following up with it was close.
I think it was really close with principles done. And
with like before the Waugh thing, obviously.
Oh yeah,
like within.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
the timeline on that would have been.
I think one of them, obviously, in play was that first round pick in 2027.
Okay.
And that was supposed to go to Calgary along with plus I don't know, 1 and 1, 1 and 2, but
what do we?
My understanding was that it didn't get green lighted in Calgary.
Because they were still trying to put butts in seats.
At the end of the day, Craig Conroy's got to have somebody sign off on it, whether it's right at the top with ownership or someone in between. But it didn't happen.
If I'm a Flames fan listening to that, I
didn't enjoy that.
Yeah. We've got lots of Calgary listeners, obviously, on 960 out there. That'd be a tough pill to swallow to hear that.
It happens. It just.
But if he didn't, I don't know. We're just talking here.
Yeah.
If they don't say yes to that, are they going to say yes to it at all?
Unless they've changed what they're trying to do. Like, I think for a while they're hoping to stay interesting to fans, and I think now they're like, okay, we're rebuilding.
But this happened within the last couple days or weeks.
Oh, that was that recent? Sorry, I misunderstood that.
This recent negotiation between Colorado, I don't know, the last 24 hours.
Oh, never
48,
mind. My
48
apologies.
hours.
I had that way off.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, this was supposed to happen before Nick Waugh. So they obviously called an audible.
Right.
So
wow.
That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're not going to say yes to it yesterday,
mm-hmm.
feels like you might be a Flame after the deadline.
Does.
Game time?
Game time.
Game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. 8 games on tap tonight, boys, including the stink bomb at Madison Square Garden with the Toronto Maple Leafs visiting the New York Rangers. A bit of a toilet bowl there. The Leafs are underdogs going in there tonight. Plus 110 on the money line. Minus 130 for the Rangers. Jacob Quillen playing third line center, apparently. Well, I wish I could bet the over-under on his ice time. I would bet 7 minutes if I could do that.
You don't do this much.
I don't have a lot
It's
of
funny,
belief.
like their lineup is all guys they use with consistency. Like even with 3 guys out of the lineup, it's the usual guys.
The Ottawa Senators, who have freshly traded for Warren Fogle that we talked about there, they are in Calgary to take on the aforementioned Flames. They are big faves tonight, minus 170 on the money line. Calgary plus 145 on the money line in that one. And the last one I'll bring up, Utah.
Can I get Ottawa minus a goal and a half puck line?
That is plus 155.
There it is, folks.
You like that?
There it is.
And Borny, your Islanders are out in LA to take on the Kings. Don't mind them at this number, plus 115 taking on the Kings. Kings are minus 135 on the money line. And that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick breather. Plenty more as we get ever so closer to the NHL trade deadline, 3 p.m. tomorrow Eastern. And the price of poker just keeps going up for NHL owners. We'll explain that when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Michael Bunting, traded.
Michael Bunting, he's off to Dallas.
3rd round pick. Would you rather have Bobby McMahon or Michael Bunting?
Yeah. Bunting was pretty effective in Toronto and
Yeah,
priced himself out.
Yeah,
And
you would have been playing along Peak Matthews and Marner. You'd have had 60
I
points.
would like to have taken advantage of that in my career.
He had
For
63, by the way.
He had a crucial play in them winning their first playoff series by kicking out Chernak's feet and getting suspended for 3
that
games.
did help. Was it kicking out his feet? Is that how he did it?
Or
It was very dirty.
Wasn't it like a slew foot or?
Slew foot.
I thought it was a forearm to the brain.
Or maybe it was.
Can't remember what he did, but it was bad.
Yeah.
I remember it being very.
And then
gruesome.
let him play.
But he can be effective. He can go to the net. He can draw penalties when he's not overacting.
Yeah. I mean, that series that they're going to play in the playoffs is going to be competitive. Bunting is competitive and noticeable, and down your lineup, he can chip in. So, hey, why not? In Dallas, who else did they just add?
Tyler Myers.
Myers.
Derek Brandale said it was an elbow to the head.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a feet involved.
No,
I'm just watching it right now.
It was a blind side elbow.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah, it was really bad.
Really
He actually deserved 3 games.
It's-
First time the league didn't
they
punish the
nailed it.
Leafs.
We got to maybe dive into this Oilers Dickinson doc from Chicago, which cost the Edmonton Oilers Mangiapane and a first rounder.
I think it was Spectre who tweeted basically, you're either over the fact that Mangiapane was just signed by them 8 months ago, like you're either willing to forgive that and this is a good move to get off the money and get a useful player, or you're not going to let that go, which is a reasonable stance in my opinion, to not be okay with what happened with Mangiapane there and say we had to give up a first. Like Jason Dickinson, I understand he's a fine depth guy, but
He's a fourth line guy.
yeah, well,
Right? After 10 years, he's pretty much locked into that
right.
role.
For a first, like a first should get you an impact player in the midst of
Like
a Stanley
Nick Waugh.
Cup run.
Nick Waugh.
Well, this is the thing. It's like
Like,
maybe it shouldn't.
I don't know.
Is Nick Waugh better than Jason Dickinson?
To be
I'm thinking
fair,
what Kip said off air about the other debate.
I'm not. I just. I don't
Whatever.
know. I don't know Dickinson well enough to sit there and
he
go.
is a great matchup PK shutdown center.
His goal totals are fascinating. 6, 9, 7, 5, 9, 22, 7,
Well,
6.
played a terrible Blackhawks team where they had no NHLers, right?
He had 22 goals one year.
I've been in scenarios before where star players have walked in after trade deadline, and let me just ask you this: that Connor McDavid,
I know.
and Leon Draisaitl find out that the Oilers spent the first round pick, and you hear it's Dickinson and Doc. Like those names, with all due respect to those kids, not very exciting for those guys.
No. Really hoping like we are in the midst of our
That's it.
world.
That's it. Now you're telling me that we're shut down too?
Yeah.
Like, get back in the trenches.
Yeah.
Dig,
Yeah.
dig. Sell, buy.
You mentioned Kadri and some of those other names, and it's like, I don't know, is Parayko's going to Buffalo? Can we get excited about something? We're so close in a division that's so soft.
Connor's like, we got 2 fourth-liners from the team that we beat 8-1 every time we play them.
The one
Great.
thing I think, the Blackhawks, I guess for the Oilers, the thing you're bad at is defending. And you got 2 very good defensive guys.
Uh-huh.
And I'm seeing people, Edmonton fans, say,
Penalty kill's a big thing that they're clinging to.
saying we needed this, we can't defend, we got defensive guys, we can score at will.
Mhm.
It gets harder to score at will when you put the defensive guys on the ice.
Mhm.
Maybe you dial that one back a little bit, so that is a bit of a sacrifice. They're better today than 2 days or 3 days ago or whatever, but not the amount better I think they wanted to be. So,
I mean, Connor McDavid's going to play 25 minutes every night.
but he'd probably like to play 24 and a
Granted, I
half.
don't think it matters. I just think it's
He did it for Canada
That
where
part-
they had everyone.
Knobloch's just going to
part
send him over the
isn't
boards.
changing.
No.
Yeah, no, doesn't matter.
And we're at the mercy of, hey, you give us 4 or 5 points like Leon did the other night against Ottawa.
That's how they win.
We'll just be fine.
We all know how they're going to win.
But they'd love for the stats not to be with Connor on the ice, the Oilers are this, and without them, they're that. You'd like that to be break even. or so, and they've had trouble doing that. Hopefully these guys help them do that. Again, I still think they're the best team in the Pacific outside Vegas. Vegas probably the best team, then the Oilers. Anyone disagree with that?
I don't think Vegas has shown me enough to.
I still think they're there, though.
Watched them recently, and they just look a little too slow for me.
They have the best.
Kind of like watching the Leafs in November for me.
Is that right?
They
have the best defensive metrics in the NHL. Some of their expected goals against. They're like the best team.
Yeah.
So that's a good start in playoffs. You get a guy who can stop some pucks, and then you say,
you don't buy any
Mitch,
of this.
carry us through.
Like Bobrovsky. I just don't. I don't see a world with what do you do with Aiden Hill?
Mark Stone just went out on IR. They're going to spend Mark Stone's money, bring in Bob or Bennington, and then in playoffs, Aiden Hill's going to get healthy scratch, and they're going to play one of those guys, and they'll be under the cap limit. Mark Stone will come back.
God, you're so right.
What did you say? The official sign of spring or whatever is Mark Stone going on IR?
Somebody tweeted that it was the
you
official sign.
But you also have to get Bobrovsky to be on board with that. Yeah. So, I'm coming in. I just watched their goalie, Aiden Hill, get a $36 million contract.
Totally. And come in and be like, step aside, pal.
Get out of the way. That sets for a really fun, close-knit environment, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Right. It doesn't. No. Why would you go from what team's been closer than the Florida Panthers the last 20, 30 years? If it isn't the Florida Panthers, they were just as close as any other team in the past.
Yeah.
And you're going to take yourself out of that environment and the 82 degrees weather, and you're going to go to Vegas.
Well, Vegas
where it's 81.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. They're not coming up north. I get that. But
no
and then you're going to go into that environment and feel what every time you see Aiden Hill.
No, maybe they just got to trade Aiden Hill to the moon. I don't know.
No one's taking him.
No disrespect. I think he's a fine goalie.
Nobody's taking him in that contract.
No.
So it's honestly,
you're out.
I don't see any goaltending market anywhere. And what's left now? Lots mentioned Carolina and the thought of Montreal, but we discussed this the other day. They've got their goalies of the future there, so they just need somebody to come in and just hold the fort. Bob's not going to do that. Bennington's not necessarily going to do that. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what Vegas does.
You did see, though, that Florida signed Louis Domingue out of the KHL.
I know, but that can also mean that Bob's shutting it down.
Yeah.
You don't have to play him.
No, you don't. If you're trying to tank at this point.
The guy's averaged 90 games a season the last 3 years.
It is going to be interesting to see what Florida does. If they just rest everyone now, Barkov won't rush back. Will Marchand play again?
You watch Barkov. He's the type of guy that'll go to the World Championships.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Stay in shape.
Totally.
Leader.
No,
heart and soul guy.
He missed the Olympics. He's jealous. He's going to.
That's because
he's going to go there.
Finns are just, different Canadians. That's all they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they so missed him in Florida.
Mm-hmm. No kidding.
Well, yeah, he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
In Florida. Yep.
Ottawa, Warren Fogle.
Okay.
Was it a second for him, did I see?
See, he'd be in that, he's in the Bobby McMahon second kind of round pick guy.
That's true. If Fogle's a second, McMahon's a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If you're looking around the league, these teams are just picking which sort of big, fast guy they want who can't produce at a rate you hope they would. Suppose he's one of the eligibles there. I think for Ottawa, they're trying to make a push to get in. We talked yesterday. Maybe we didn't talk. Dom Lucian's stats, 16 stats article had Ottawa's schedule is favorable down the stretch compared to the teams they're chasing.
They just can't.
They still think they're in the hunt.
They can't lose another point like they lost in Edmonton the other night.
Yeah, you got a 2-goal lead going into the third period. You got to get 2 points.
They're 6. Yeah, that was terrible. They're 6 points back. They got 22 games to go, chasing Boston, Washington, and Columbus. Montreal, if you want to be very generous, but Montreal is.
So Washington's done too, don't you think?
Well, it doesn't sound like they're actually sellers. They got a piece for Dowd, but they're still hoping to.
I don't like, but I do think Ottawa's a good team. And a couple times I've watched them out to the break.
They just got a little bigger and faster.
They're fast. They're strong. They got good young players.
I think the Washington Capitals should trade John Carlson.
Well, everyone's doing he's going to extend talk now. That's the new thing. I'm with you.
You can get the John or the Carlo deal for him.
Grab a first and a prospect.
And a blue chip prospect.
I guess I got to be honest about what they are. Washington definitely feels like a team who's been hanging on.
Sammy, what do we hear about Carolina Hurricanes?
I don't know. What do you hear?
That they sold for
usually
like
know these interesting things.
$2.66 billion valuation.
A $2.66 billion evaluation. He sold 12.5%.
Now I haven't mathed that out for real, but just doing that 300 mil or so.
We've gone from the Ottawa Senators going a little over $1 billion to Pittsburgh at 1.7, which, by the way, I just read that deal has not gone through, and people are starting to question that one.
Okay.
And now $2.66 billion. That's incredible.
Can I ask you? You're in the rich guy circles. You know rich guys. What is the value of spending $300 million on 12% of the?
Before you answer that, just want to note that Tom Dundon just bought the Portland Trail Blazers of the NBA. This $300 million that he sold it for would go as cash towards that purchase. Yeah.
So the other thing that I find interesting is this is per Sportico that the deal includes 3 of those minority partners you're talking about, all whom are remaining anonymous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because it's Peter Private Equity is who it is. He just sold a chunk to some company because take the money, whatever, and he still gets to run the show, and 87.5% needs 300 mil. There you go.
Yeah. It's
not some like guy he golfs with.
Okay. I just thought.
It still could be a guy he golfs with.
One of the 3 could. Yeah, if it's 3, there's 3 apparently. Yeah, well.
Anyways, good times for these NHL owners.
Apparently. I also just think there's a ceiling on the value. It's not doing this forever. Like maybe it's a good place to park your money, but are the Hurricanes going to be worth $4 billion one day?
I don't know. Why am I feeling like you're looking like Austin Powers right now? Or the villain in it.
$1 billion? Yeah. Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. I'm talking to Dr. Evil right now.
One of the great movies.
$1 billion gets you less than half of the Carolina Hurricanes now.
Seems
Dr.
like
Evil grossly undershot.
Seems like a horrible
$1 million.
I could find so many better ways to spend $1 billion on half the Hurricanes.
It's insane.
Insane.
Yes, I don't have any influence on the 30th most interesting team.
I wonder if I could have a thought on Nikolai Ehlers.
No, I can't. I'm minority.
Yeah,
all right.
Sick. Jeez. I'm
all right.
good on that.
Nothing else trickling in?
No.
Just check the trickle machine here.
But then, quickly, tomorrow, housekeeping. If you're listening to this right now, we are on an hour later tomorrow. So when all the dust is settled, we're in here at 5 o'clock, 5 Eastern till 7 Eastern. We got Elliot Friedman coming in at 5:30.
Fried usually caps us off.
Fresh off his full day marathon.
Yep.
Then 6 o'clock, we have Leafs general manager Brad Treliving. And then 6:30, we'll have Doug McLean.
And I'll note that Stefan Rosner has Kyrou linked to the Islanders. Atchison, maybe Danny Nelson. We'll see.
All right. Thanks to Bet365 because, of course, this hour of Real Kyper Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Our thanks to Luke Fox in our first hour and Brian Lawton on our national hour. All right, folks, sit tight. Stay by your phone, your computer, and we're back tomorrow to wrap it all up.
5 p.m.
5
Eastern.
to 7 Eastern.
5.
It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Have a great night, everybody.